Ever since I started making sprint car racing content, specifically my commentary videos such as this exact video, I have scoured the internet for hours on end just to research for these videos. And sometimes it's honestly very hard to find information on some events, but most of the time I'll find enough information. Over these past couple months, I've been getting into the rabbit hole of disappeared drivers, or as I like to call them, vanished talents. Drivers who had some or even lots of success in their career, then seemingly disappearing out of nowhere. Some even doing so in their prime. Now, unlike my What Happened To series where we go over one driver's career, this series on the other hand will be going over 2 to 3 drivers a video. So ladies and gentlemen, grab some popcorn, sit back and relax as we go over sprint car racing's vanished talents. This first driver is by far the most controversial person I've went over on this channel. And in my opinion, that's mostly due to his arrest in 2013, and of course anger issues. Tyler Walker, also known as T-Dub, or the California Kid, began racing sprint cars at the young age of 16. Mostly competing in California, but that wasn't the only place he would compete at. He would travel to Iowa for the 1996 Knoxville Nationals, and would actually be crowned the Knoxville Nationals Rookie of the Year. In 1997, Tyler had found a lot of success with the All-Star Circuit of Champions, claiming 7 wins and 25 top 5s, earning himself the 6th spot in points. The year following in 1998, Tyler had really stepped up his game, becoming a full-time outlaw. Although not having as much success as he did the year previous, he would still place 11th in points. The 2000s, I would say, was the most impactful decade for Tyler. Originally, he was going to kick off his NASCAR career in 2000, but since he didn't get the necessary sponsorships he needed, that would be cancelled. He would have a couple races with the Outlaws that year, and even participated in the Pennsylvania Speed Week, claiming his first ever PA Speed Week victory. In 2001, Tyler kicked off his USAC career in both the Silver Crown Series and of course the Sprint Series, which he would continue to race in through the rest of the decade, although it would take him until 2004 to get his first ever victory with the Silver Crown Series, and the same with the Sprint Series in 2007. During the first couple years of Tyler's USAC career, he would start finding success again with the wing sprints, dominating the World of Outlaws Gumout Series, winning 11 out of the 20 races for the 2002 season, winning the championship, which was also the final season of that series before its closing that exact year. As 2003 started rolling around, Tyler would begin his NASCAR career with the Truck Series, but not having much success, actually only starting in a total of 3 races out of the 34 that season. This wouldn't stop him from stepping up, as he would advance to the NASCAR Busch Series the following year, but once again, only starting in 3 races. He would race his final season with the Busch Series in 2005, then going back to the Truck Series in 2007. The 2007 season was looking as bright as it ever been for Tyler's NASCAR career. I mean, he was only 4 races in and already had a top 10 finish. Well, this hope would fade away pretty fast. After 6 races in the season, Tyler had gotten suspended from NASCAR for violating the substance abuse policy, and was never reinstated, ending his NASCAR career for good. He had sobered up for around 10 months after this incident, doing whatever he can to get back in NASCAR, as he tells the media. I felt horrible for all my fans and friends and sponsors that supported me. I absolutely feel like I let them down, and I'll never do that again. Unfortunately, this attempt at reviving his NASCAR career was not successful. The next 6 years after this suspension is what I would call Tyler's darkest era. He was fairly successful with several different sprint car series all over the country, mostly over at Pennsylvania, where he claimed 3 more Speed Week victories, and also winning the 2009 King of the West Championship over in California. Tyler's final major victory was at the 2011 Kings Royal, where Sammy Swindell's tire went flat on the last turn, handing Tyler the win. Now, you may ask why I would consider this as Tyler's darkest era. Well, if you go look back, it was clearly evident that Tyler's anger was getting the best of him, and he was starting to get a very bad reputation. In 2013, Tyler had led a police chase across 3 states, coming to an end in Utah. He was found in possession of numerous bits of drug paraphernalia and unlawfully possessed alcohol. He was originally going to be sentenced to 5 years, but the judge would change it to 90 days and a $1,665 fine. Tyler had made his return in racing in 2015, racing all over California. claiming 3 wins with the King of the West series, then making his final return to Pennsylvania in 2017. On July 30th, 2017, Tyler had announced on his Twitter, or X as it's called now, that he had hurt his knee in a recent wreck and was going to take some time off to heal, following up with a, "Tyler will not make it out this weekend, but we are looking forward to a speedy recovery." Tyler has not posted on his Twitter since. No one heard from him at all until 2022. Tyler posted on his Instagram account telling everyone that he wanted to organize his life from the ground up and showed his hatred towards socks. But just like 2017, this is the last time we've heard of him. From my understanding, head injuries were becoming a huge issue for Tyler, as he had taken a fair amount of hits to the head in his career, so that last crash, I guess, did it for him. I think it's safe to say that Tyler is doing better, and from what I've heard, he now works for his brother's business. Even though his career ended earlier than some of us expected, you can say at the least that his glory days were long behind him. However, this was not the case for Cody Darrah. Starting off his 410 career in 2006, Cody was already one of the most anticipated drivers coming out of Pennsylvania. Although his first 2 seasons were a bit rough, his talent would really start to show in 2008, getting 5 victories with the Central PA Point Series and also winning the Williams Grove National Open. This success would carry over the year after, winning 6 races with the PA Point Series, ending the season 3rd in points. This would catch the attention of Casey Kane, and Cody would sign with KKR in 2010. However, his season would be cut very short. After getting into a car crash, shattering his leg, Cody bounced back the following year, competing in his first ever full-time Outlaw season, continuing to do so with KKR until 2015. Through the 4 years of his full-time Outlaw career, he had gotten 7th in points 3 years in a row, those being the 2012, 2013, and 2014 seasons, and also getting a feature win at the 2014 Silver Cup. In 2015, Cody would no longer race with KKR, going back to the family-owned 89 car. He had a very successful year with the All-Stars, getting 3 wins with the series, 2 of those being the Bob Weicker Memorial and another Silver Cup feature victory. He had ended the season 2nd in points, and his future was looking very bright, but this was the last season of his racing career. In mid-2016, Cody posted on his social medias, letting everyone know that he was selling all of his racing equipment. This was completely out of nowhere, and of course people asked him if he was done with racing, but to no prevail. After a couple years went by, and no signs of him returning, it was clearly evident that he was done with racing. To this day, there really hasn't been any explanation on his retirement, although I've heard 2 theories on why this could be. Number 1 being that he just didn't want to race anymore, or number 2, which was him taking over his dad's business. Nonetheless, it seems that he's been enjoying his retirement. He was actually very active on social media until this year, and would often show off his sense of humor on Twitter. After 9 410 seasons and 8 World of Outlaws victories, Cody Darrah has become one of the biggest what-ifs in sprint car racing. This last one is by far the most prestigious driver on this list, which makes his disappearance from racing even more shocking. 2 World of Outlaws championships, 3 Knoxville Nationals, and 1 Kings Royal, Mark Kinser absolutely dominated the 90s and early 2000s. Starting off his Outlaw career in the early 80s, he then got his first ever World of Outlaws victory in 1984. Through the rest of the 80s, Mark would participate in a majority of races with the Outlaws every season, with his highest standing in points being 5th. Although in 1989, he took part in the USA Series full-time, finishing the season 3rd in points. Now, the 90s is where Mark had gotten stupendously successful, usually averaging around 4 to 5 wins a season through 1994. The year following in 1995, Mark would reach at the time, career high of 18 wins, including his first ever Williams Grove National Open. Now, 1996 is where Mark would start to reach a legendary status, having one of the most dominant seasons in sprint car racing. Getting 35 wins, almost doubling what he had his previous season, winning the historical big one, the Knoxville Nationals, and the Silver Cup all in that 96 season, which of course got him his first ever World of Outlaws title. So with all this success, Mark would plan on racing with the NASCAR Truck Series in 1997, but unfortunately never qualified to start in a race. After returning to sprint cars, Mark had remained consistent through the rest of the 90s, winning 3 more Silver Cups in a row, the 99 Knoxville Nationals and the National Open that same year, winning his second and final World of Outlaws title. Mark's 2000 season was looking just as eventful, getting 14 victories and also his final Knoxville Nationals title, but finishing 3rd in points. However, his 2001 season was looking even more successful, with 20 wins and also his first and only Kings Royal, ending the season 2nd in points. This was Mark's last consequential year, even though he would race full-time with the Outlaws one last time in 2002. He would place 6th in points, which was below average for him at the time. He would slow down more and more as the years went by, and would partake in his last ever race at Pevely in 2005. His reason for retirement was more simple than what people think, as he says in an interview with the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame. If you don't have that driving desire, you're never going to be a champion. Those things are dangerous, and it just seemed like the right time for a change. My kids were in school and we were separated from them. I'd pretty well had a great career at it. It just seemed like the right time for a change, and I've never once regretted it. Ever since his retirement, he has avoided the races as much as he can, just to not make himself second guess his decision. He had gathered a total of 203 World of Outlaws victories in his career, which is currently 4th in all-time Outlaw wins. Now, out of all the drivers we talked about today, Mark's was probably the most expected to happen, as he's explained. He was getting older, his performance was slacking, and he just couldn't keep up. To this day, people still don't know what happened to him, even though he's been fairly public about his retirement. Many people still don't know, which is why I would consider him as sprint car racing's most mysterious vanished talent. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys for watching. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I would like to apologize for my lack of uploading recently. This video took way longer than I thought it would. My mic actually broke midway through making this video, and I'm using a new mic, so that's why the audio sounds a little bit different than usual. I'm gonna be ordering the same mic I was using before pretty soon, so don't worry, it'll go back to normal soon, I hope. But again, thank you guys for watching. This is Sprint Car Nation, and I'll see you guys next time.